Hi, my name's Dan. I live in a trailer park with my dad. Ever since Mom left, we lost everything. We lost the house, the car, everything we owned because Dad refused to get a job. All the divorce money he got from Mom went into the casinos, and pretty soon we were surviving solely on benefits. Dad was always out with his friends. If not, he'd be at home all day in front of the TV. He never tried to solve our problems and didn't act like an adult. When we were about to get evicted from the trailer park, he married some random woman he met at a bar. She was rich, and so our problems disappeared for a while. Lita moved us into her huge house, but as soon as I picked my room, she threw me out of it. Why can't I have my own room? Because I want it. I'll make it my toy room. Jordan was a spoiled boy who got everything he wants, and he told his mom he didn't want me to have my own room in the house. I had to sleep on the couch, and my dad didn't do anything about it. You can't do anything, son. They got the money, so they decide, eh? They house, they rules. The day Jordan and Lita welcomed me into their home, I didn't know it was as a maid. I cooked, I cleaned, I did all the chores while Lita ordered me around. Jordan made messes, and Dad spent his entire day in his armchair. Dad was lazy, sure, but he never used to order me around. Now, whenever he needed a drink, he'd shout my name and make me run to the fridge, no matter where I was in the house. As soon as I turned 16, Lita demanded that I take a job. You're not a kid anymore. You're old enough to drive, you're old enough to work, and I don't want to raise a leech. You want to stay in this house? You have to pay me rent. But I'm still at school. Who cares? We all know you'll never be able to afford college. Might as well face the realities of life early. I worked as a barista at a cafe, but it made school life harder. My classmates found out I was working there, and they never let me hear the end of it. They'd always come in when it was my shift, and they'd make me give them free stuff. If I didn't, they humiliated me at school. I ended up giving out a lot of free coffees, and my boss took the cost out from my pay every time. I barely had any money left for myself, and I had to give the rest to Lita for the rent. But Lita was what changed my status at school, actually. She came in one day just to remind me to get groceries on my way home, and the guys who were always on my case were there too. Don't forget, we gotta have a huge stash of candy for next week, so get to the store early, okay? I will, Lita. Dan, what did we talk about? Call me Mom, okay? Yes, Mom. When she left, the boys came up to me. I flinched, thinking one of them was going to throw something at me. But they just wanted Lita's number. That's your mom? Stepmom. Dang, son. Nah, man, we cool now. So, when you gonna invite us over so me and my boys can get a closer look at, Lita, was it? The next week, Lita and I took Jordan trick-or-treating. Dad stayed home and was supposed to give out candy for whoever came to the door. If I knew my dad, he probably just fell asleep in front of the TV and ate all the candy himself. We had a long night. I think we walked all the way to the other side of town because Jordan was determined to get 30 Snickers bars. At the very least. When we finally turned around to get back home, we ended up taking way too many wrong turns, and we found ourselves in the middle of a long country road. It was too dark out and so foggy that we couldn't even see 20 yards ahead of us. All around us were just fields upon fields of corn. We tried to get back to where we came from, but we only got more lost. Jordan started getting agitated. I could see he was scared, but he was trying to act all tough. Oh, what's that? You hear that? No? What? A crow flapped its wings and flew out of one of the fields, and Jordan lost it. He ran into the cornfield with his arms flailing over his head. Lita panicked as well. Oh, my baby! Darling, don't run! No! Lita, don't go in there! Don't run after him! And just like that, the two of them were stuck in the field. It would have been so much easier if we stuck together and looked for Jordan. Instead, I had to search for both of them. It must have been hours that I spent out there. I found Lita first. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. thank you. Oh, thank you. You saved me. We roamed the fields for another hour yelling out for Jordan. I found him crouched under a scarecrow, sobbing. I took them both and we got out of the fields and back to the street. I followed the sounds of the town fair and we were finally back home. But before I could go inside the house, Lita grabbed my arm and asked for me to stay on the porch with her. She held my hand and stared into my eyes. Thank you for what you did back there. When she looked at me, I felt my cheeks get red. You saved me and Jordan, and I think I love you. And then she leaned in. I couldn't move. Was this really happening? Oh, I gotta get back inside. I forgot to put the load in the washing machine. I'll wake Dad up and tell him to go to bed. And I left Lita there. I was so confused and embarrassed. I avoided Lita as much as I could. But when she finally cornered me, Lita changed. She was no longer the mean stepmom. She was nicer. I became the apple of her eye. Lita showered me with gifts. She bought me a train set that I'd always wanted. Then she took me to Comic-Con with VIP passes. She even booked us a 5-star hotel in the same place where the convention was. And everything I wanted there, she bought for me. On our way back, she also bought me a new phone, a MacBook Pro, and she took me shopping for clothes. I must have gotten 20 new pairs of Psyche sneakers. Some of them were even limited editions. Then Lita took me on a cruise on one of her friend's yachts. It was while we were sitting in the middle of the ocean, watching the sunset, that she slipped on the slippery deck and fell into the water. And she didn't know how to swim. I jumped into the water and carried her back to the boat. But as I was helping her up, Lita slipped again, and this time she took me down with her. And I ended up with my face an inch away from hers. You saved me again. She stared into my eyes, and I could hear her heartbeat. And then it happened. She kissed me, and I kissed her back. We spent an entire week island hopping, shopping for souvenirs, and swimming in the beaches of Hawaii. We even got to visit the places where they filmed Triassic Park. And when we got back home, Lita was holding my hand when we entered the house. Oh, you're back. Not cool that you left me here with Dad while you two went on a trip. I demand you take me on a trip too. Right now! Not gonna happen, sweetie. Jordan was speechless. His mom had never said no to him before. Actually, go upstairs and get your things out of your room. What? Why? That's gonna be Dan's room from now on. Lita told them that she and I were getting married. Dad was not very happy about it. But what could he do? Lita was the boss, and now I have her undivided love and attention. Lita made them pack their bags, and when they were done, she kicked them out of the house. But where am I gonna go? I have nothing. I already sold that dang trailer. Son, you can't do this. You can't leave your own father to be homeless. Well, maybe if you didn't sell the trailer and lost all the money betting on horses, you'd have had somewhere to go. It's time, Dad. You've been stuck in the armchair for too long. You're a grown man. Take some responsibility for yourself. Oh, and I hope you understand. You won't be invited to the wedding. Might be awkward and all, with you being my ex. You can't do this to me, Mom. You can't replace me with my own stepbrother. Danny, man, please, talk some sense into her. Where am I gonna go? You can't not invite me to the wedding. It's free food. I held them a cab and gave the driver $500 to take them wherever they wanted in the city. And then I pushed them both in the cab. You're both old enough to figure out your stuff. When you both had the upper hand, neither of you did anything to help me. So don't expect any more handouts from me. It's just karma. I tapped on the trunk and the driver started the engine. Oh, and happy Halloween. As their cab pulled away, Lita and I stood side by side, waving goodbye at the two. The cab disappeared at the corner of our street. I pulled Lita close, looked deep into her eyes, and kissed my new future wife.